Hi, my name is Craig Gordon. I represent the N.E.A.D Foundation. That is an acronym for Nutrition and Exercise versus Addiction and Disease. I've been doing research for 40 years on the relationship between diet, addiction, behavior, and crime. Not a whole lot I haven't heard about it in all that time. I've been across the country. I've done work for the White House on drug abuse policy. I've spoken to hundreds of thousands of people. And I've gotten some amazing concurrence with my theories and postulations about how chemistry rules the roost in the brain and the body. So let's talk about AA. I have a debt of gratitude to AA and N.E.A.D and Al-Anon, and I think in many cases they've saved literally millions of people. They've been a great support system in innumerable ways to people across the whole globe. I'd like to tell you a little bit of the history that I know that most don't. So back in the 30s when AA was invented, there was Bill W., there was Dr. Bob, and there was another gentleman that we don't know about named Tom Powers. So let's think of them like three legs of a stool. Bill W., the face guy. Dr. Bob, a doctor. And what most people don't know about Dr. Bob was that he had an office full of vitamins and books on vitamins. And being a doctor, maybe, just maybe, he was a little bit more the mustard in a quiet way behind AA and the beginning or inception of it. And then how about Tom Powers? Why do I bring up his name that very few people know about? Well, Tom Powers actually helped write the steps and the traditions, which is the foundation or focal point of AA. And he was also Bill W.'s sponsor, and unfortunately kicked Bill W. to the curb because he was messing up in a profound way early on. So you got three legs of the stool. One you've never even heard of, Tom Powers, who helped write the steps and the traditions. And this is back in the 30s and 40s. Way, way, way back. Now let's bring it up to today. Unfortunately, AA, NACA, all the programs, have very little to do with biochemistry. And AA acknowledges that addiction is foremost a physical disease, and then you have a mental and you have a spiritual issue. And to quantify this situation, first and foremost, I think we need to address the physical. Which brings me to my friend Joan. And what she learned about addiction way back when, as I did back in the late 70s and early 80s, that I believe alcoholism is more a blood sugar disorder, sensitivity, or allergy. And when we consume alcohol, we go into sugar shock. Most people are poorly nourished. We don't know how poorly or how undernourished. And so they consider alcohol to be something they deserve, a right because you're free, and maybe even a vacation or distraction from being uncomfortable. This is a new way to think about alcoholism. It's a new way to think about drugs, although that's less of a stretch because most people know that they're not so good for you. Unfortunately, so many people use them because I think they're so uncomfortable. In many cases, downright miserable, and that's their, their relief valve. That's how they feel a little better at the time. That's how they let go and think they enjoy themselves. I disagree. I think it's, you're opening up a can of worms, and in some cases you can never go back. There's lots of research on the phenomenon of that particular time in your life when you let it rip and you get in trouble, and then from then on you're done. And it's a very, very difficult situation for many, many millions of people. So, what are the leading causes of death and relapse in recovery? Joan and I would be quick to say A, malnutrition, B, hypoglycemia and blood sugar disorder, and then you got coffee, cigarettes that I call sugarettes, and more carbohydrates in a variety of forms, which basically builds malnutrition and blood sugar disorders, which wind up being the tail wagging the dog. And until we change chemistry, until we get healthy, until we augment our bodies with proper food and exercise, and we start consistently delivering nutrient to our brains or our neocortex, we don't even know how much trouble we're in. We don't get it. We're not thinking deep, clear thoughts consistently. There's a limited amount of objectivity. So we get in trouble. So we think in this country getting in trouble is normal. We think, the coffee, sugar, and cigarettes, which are the leading cause of death and relapse and recovery, particularly cigarettes. And what do you think I call cigarettes? Sugarettes. Because the active ingredient in cigarettes is sugar, not nicotine. So we need to get a whole lot more serious about nutrition. We need to take care of our bodies. We need to get regular exercise. We need to properly hydrate every day. Most people are dehydrated, probably me as well. 25% of all children never drink water. 50% are dehydrated. And there are so many studies out there, there are thousands now, on a particular vitamin, let alone, food as a whole, malnutrition, behavior. There are countless books on nutrition and behavior now, finally. So, ever so slowly, we're getting down to business. Hopefully, you can get more serious about what you do personally and professionally. And Joan, my friend, has 2 books called 7 Weeks to Sobriety and Depression Free Naturally, which are bestsellers written in 8 languages. Then there are a number of other publications. I have a bunch of original material at the foundation, children's books, measurable prevention workbooks, schematics, all sorts of different material to help begin the process of changing food habits and hence the behaviors and isms that we all think are normal in this country. My name's Craig Gordon. I represent NEADUSA.org. Please get in touch and take care of your body and be healthy. Thank you.
10 minutes.